This startup is about bioinoculants production for non-legume plant crops based on microbial consortia with nitrogen-fixing capacity. For a century, feeding a growing human population has depended on good fertilization, especially with nitrogen. As a global population expansion of around 10 billion people is projected for 2050, a higher nitrogen-based fertilizer consumption is expected if the current agriculture production supply is not switched. This nitrogen-based fertilizer production is obtained through an industrial process with high energy demand and carbon dioxide emissions. It also has led to a nitrogen cycle disturbance illustrated by the increasing accumulation of nitrates in soils and waters and nitrogen oxides in the atmosphere. Some ecological alternatives exist to the intensive use of crops, such as legume-based fertilization systems, organic farming, and microbial bioinoculants. However, they have restrictions. For example, not all legumes can intercrop with non-legume plants. The rotation process can take longer than expected or challenge a large-scale application. Organic agriculture uses manure, compost, and plant residues to restore degraded soils and improve physiochemical constraints. But this approach has been controversial and limited because it is associated with increased accumulation of pharmaceuticals and antibiotics in agricultural fields. Or there is not enough animal manure to supply nutrient to a much larger organic production area. As a result, abandoning synthetic nitrogen fertilizer could lead to a nutrient undersupply even with increased legume cropping. Regarding bioinoculants, despite their world market is growing, their application is still marginal compared with chemical fertilizers. Their use is still hindered by several factors such as the unpredictability of results, problems to identify and track inoculated strains in the field, the poor understanding of the interrelationships between microorganisms and plants, and production technology. Based on the fact that interactions between plants and microbial communities depend on their genotypes, geochemical characteristics of soils, and the capacity of the microorganisms to compete and colonize their hosts efficiently. The microbial community of the plant roots is influenced by species, the genotype of the host, and even plants can select a subset of microorganisms for the different stages of development. Therefore, this leads to low cell support production systems with an increased need for external inputs such as chemical pesticides and fertilizers to overcome pest problems and diseases, vulnerability to abiotic stress, and nutrient depletion. An alternative to deal with this challenge is the use of microbiome engineering. Here is enriched the biological nitrogen fixation process adapted to a target soil and host plant. That proposal uses environmental parameters such as carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus ratios, oxygen concentrations, trace elements, primary carbon sources, and secondary metabolites used to steer nitrogen fixing community assembly in bioreactors. Aerated packed bed biofilm reactors are constructed and inoculated with a previously adapted microbial community derived from natural restored soil, similar to soil characteristics where it will be applied. Reactors are fed with a specific nutrient solution adapted to crop needs and soil characteristics. Nitrogen is only supplied by air. These community reactors could fix nitrogen and produce enough biomass to be applied in non-legume crops. This reactor setup allows the growth of a complex nitrogen-fixing microbial community assembled into a biofilm more diverse than the original soil. Then, this nitrogen-fixing biofilm is diluted in a nutrient solution nitrogen-free and applied to non-legume plant soils. As the plants grow, the bioinoculant nutrients are adjusted according to particular crop needs. This way, the use of nitrogen-based synthetic fertilizers for plant growth is reduced significantly. The first trials in tomato cherry show that flowering and fruition are reached significantly, So, it is a way to reduce pollution caused by fertilizer production and application meanwhile crop yield is kept high. Thanks for your attention.